Well, hello everybody. Hope I'm doing just a quick sound check to make sure that actually worked okay. Oh snap. Hello everybody, and welcome back to the lab, where today we are officially returning, I suppose. I guess you could technically consider the last stream as the official return. And that was more of a, like, I'm gonna do this randomly off the cusp versus an actual, like, scheduled stream. So, welcome everybody. Welcome back to the bot. There's a thing that I'm so happy to be saying. So, as kind of a brief intro, catch up, insert various definitions here for what you want to call this particular intro part. So we have been building a Twitch bot, a Twitch chat bot in Go for what I was reminded of is at least 13 months now. Spooky. Holy shit. So we've been live building this bot on stream, and we've been using this bot on stream for stream. It was a little bit of a meta thing. Let's see if I can get this to actually work. Let's do one of those. Hey, it's actually working. What a magical thing. So that is more or less the bot. It responds to commands. It does a couple of things like auto greeting, thanking streamers, thanking subscriptions, followers, raids, or at least it would thank followers if that bloody feature was actually implemented. Which, just saying. Anyway, it does a number of things, and I'm honestly kind of proud of it, to be perfectly honest. Like it went a lot further than I thought it was going to, which is super cool. So let me pull up the oldie Trello board, because that's a thing that we have. Let's see here. Let's pop this over to here. Double check to make sure. Yay! I'm on a new machine, and despite the fact that I had a relatively successful stream last time, I was still a little hesitant as to whether or not everything was actually going to work for me or not. So to see it work is great, and also just reinforces that Linux is the superior operating system. insert operating system flame war now. So, we had a very, very basic Kanban style Trello board, and all the things that we have done on the bot is kind of nutty. So what I'm going to be focusing on for this stream is one of these two, and I'm probably gonna focus on BoltDB for today. Got a bit of a shorter stream for life things that are happening after the stream, so probably going to try and focus on BoltDB and might start on the stream starting message to Discord. So, in a nutshell for BoltDB. So BoltDB is it's a etcd. It is a, well, let's read their mission statement, shall we? So number one, it is a fork of Ben Johnson's Bolt. So Bolt was a key value store. This was, I think it was BoltDB Bolt. Yeah, there it is. It was a fork of Bolt, and Bolt was a key value store, very similar to how Redis is a key value store. I guess some of the things that was particularly interesting about Bolt is that it is a key value store, so the kind of key value semantics exist, but it also had kind of like a SQLite semantic for file persistence, which is something that I'll go over here in a sec for the bot, because we basically ended up doing something very similar, just custom, and this is kind of what it looks like. So we've got Bolt as an embedded key value store. You open up a DB, which is a DB file. It has transactions. It has batch. Let's see here. Manual transactions. The collections of key value pairs they call buckets. It's kind of like a logical way of organizing key value pairs. For small applications, to me, The bucket seems like, unless you're making a number of repeat functions or a number of repeat data elements, buckets to me just kind of felt like this is the default database almost. So I think I'm gonna go with that. Just singular bucket and work off of that bucket. Let's see here. And then in terms of get and put semantics, it's more or less put, byte, byte. So what I think I'm going to do is I think I am going to reuse the existing interface that we have for caches, but change the implementation to be a Bolt DB instead of this manual file thing that I've been doing. Now the thing, and there's a couple of other features that are in here for things like auto-incrementing integers, just like the auto-incrementing integer that you would get from a database, iterating over all keys in a bucket, which is really handy. Yeah, nested buckets apparently. Starting to get into the realm of, I'm sure that somebody had a reason for it, but I can't figure out why. Why would you have a nested database? Now this is more or less what really struck to me, is that Bolt's database is a single file. So very much like SQLite, where you open up a connection and that connection is more or less just a formatted file that SQLite interacts with. Bolt does more or less the same thing. And so what that means is from the ability to back up, sure, backing up the database is just copy that file, paste it somewhere else, ta-da, you have a backup. But what was in my mind was something like Kubernetes. So in Kubernetes, you can create a file claim on top of that file where that file is, and now you have replicas. You can basically create like read replicas, a read-write replica. You can do all those things just off of that one file. Is glorious. Insert all of the oddities around hosting a database within a cluster, within a Docker container or a Docker cluster, but still, or sorry, a container cluster. We can't say Docker anymore because Docker's not the only player on the field anymore. The world, right? Let's see here. This is kind of cool. The ability to have stats, kind of like how Postgres has stats, which is so cool. We got a read-only mode, so we could do something CQRS style if we really wanted to. Mobile use. I thought there was a to in-memory. What happened to the in-memory part of things? Where you be? Where you be? Oh, you know what I didn't do? I didn't post out to Discord that I was streaming. Ha! Okay. I thought Bolt had an in-memory version for it. I may have to look into that. But first, let me bring the self cam up. Update that. Boop. There we go. Forgot to do that because, you know, it's a thing that I haven't really done. What is that? Whoa! I did not notice the I didn't notice that. Hello.
So, how are you holding up? Because I'm a potato.
Thank you so much, Phil, for the 13 months! Holy shit! How you doing, mate? Thank you so much for stopping by. 13 months. What even? What even? So I'm now noticing that oh, that has actually been up on top the entire time. Well, let's see here. Can I... All right, let's try that again. Oh, man. Learning in a very unmotivated, not really learning way. I feel that to my core. Oh, I feel that so much. I'm doing good, mate. It's I will call this the first official stream back, so am excited. I'm also noticing that my stream sizing is a little off, but that's okay. Oh, I have an idea. There's a space up there. Hang on, messing around with the format a little bit. A little bit bigger. I'm gonna have to mess with that a little bit. That's all right. That's all right. We'll just put that up there for a bit. I did not notice that was a feature. Like I did not. I have VLC as the music source now, and I did not notice that VLC actually puts the album art up there, which is kind of cool. But at the same time, my layout is not optimized for it, so yay. All right, so I'm also noticing that the bot is not particularly good about not double messaging people. That might be something I need to address. Oh no. Let's see here. So, in terms of Bolt, in terms of using Bolt, what I'm envisioning this replacing. Oh, by the way, I did disable PubSub because apparently I done goofed the authentication for the PubSub client. So, whoops. All right, so I need my cache. So, what effectively what I did when we first built the bot is I built this abstraction called cache. Now, cache is roughly what it does, but what it really was a persistence layer for various bot items. And I can specifically see cache.new. No? Oh no, it was a make cache. Yeah. So what I did was I basically created a bunch of cache files for different purposes. Now, and what we kind of worked it down to was a cache for the greeter, which, there we go. As you can tell from the bot messages up above, the bot greets people when you first chat in the chat. It'll send you a hello, and I tried to do so as well. But that was, I think, one of the first features that we added in the bot was the greeter. I think. Oh man. And so the way that it prevents itself from, not adding greetings to somebody every time that they speak, was to create a cache. And so this greeter.text does exactly that. Oh, really? Oh, I didn't fix fuzzy find, did I? That's okay. Greeter.text. It just looks like this. So it's the key and then a value of something. In this case, the value is nothing. And then there's a timestamp. This timestamp is for expiration purposes. So when do I know when to basically ignore what's in this file? And that's done via timestamp. So that's really all that the cache is. I create a cache file, and then I create a cache instance. And in this case, I'm creating a file persisted instance because, well, I use file persistence to persist between restarts of the bot. So this is what I'm thinking of replacing with Bolt. What we ended up doing is we created what is effectively a very manual interface over a file. So we have our cache. If it's a file, we have a line separator, we have a field separator. We have all things for like rehydration. It's actually an in-memory cache with a file persistence is more or less how it's built. And the in-memory part of it is just a map. So instead of reading from the file every single time we read from the map, we persist to the file and then we hydrate, we rehydrate, I should say. And then every once in a while, every 10 seconds or so, I flush the cache to the file. I can be pretty aggressive about this because, well, I'm not really like operating at a massive scale or anything of that nature. This is a tiny bot that is running on my machine on what is a tiny stream. But even if we had hundreds of viewers, think about that for a second, stars forbid. Even if we had hundreds of viewers, this would still be fine from a performance standpoint. But this is all very manual. Very, very manual. And it shows the reason that I did it this way was because it shows that you can just write these things. Like, you don't need to deploy a separate instance like something like Redis, which I think we did do. You don't have to do that to get that feature functionality. Mind you, though, the alternative is that you write all of this. Right? So what we're going to do is we're going to change this to Bolt. So, need to start with Bolt installation. Get Bolt, B-Bolt, 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 Bebop. To adjust and download the current module, blah, 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 blah. To install using requirements of the current module, use go install. Oh, that's new. Oops. Yeah, there we go. Since when is go get deprecated? Do I need to read some patch notes? Oh boy. Persistable. So there's cache persistable. Could just make a cache bolt. Code organization. Hard. Let's say we create I kind of want to separate these a little bit. Yeah, let's separate these. So let's see here, cache bolt.go. Bolt.go. I love how this doesn't update. See if that'll do it. I don't think it does. Nope, sure doesn't. What in the world? Is it because it doesn't have any stuff in it? Oh, bloody hell. Cache bolt. Nope. Package cache. Is that it? Ugh. Cache. All right. So this is our type. This is the interface that we have to implement. And so what I would like to do is I would like to go back to Bolt. Kind of depends on how I do this. Let's see here. Want to do func. C is, or B is Bolt cache. that are edit. The joys of them. Hector, how you doing, mate? Thanks so much for stopping by. Welcome to the lab. Let's see here. Now, the thing though is that we don't actually have this thing bolt cache. So we're gonna have bolt cache as a struct. And then for bolt, the TLDR of bolt is we import bolt from bbolt. We open a file to a particular path. And then eventually we're gonna db.close. We'll make that as a probably we'll add that as a shutdown. Do I have a shutdown? Shutdown. Ooh, almost forgot. Right. I gotta. Sorry. Very, very professional streamer. Very professional. Hi, how you doing? There we go. All right. Sorry. Have a day today, so wanted to make sure that was still on. Back in. All right. So when I'm typically making these types of abstractions, it looks a little something like this. So we got our DB is something. I want to say it's a bolt.db, something of that nature. But we need to import bolt as see here. Go.etcd.io bbolt. Yeah, something like that. Now what I need to look for, I need to see what this actually is. So func new. This will return me an instance of bolt cache. Them kind of freaking out there. So we'll get to that part. Bolt dot. What do we got? Bolt.db. Okay. So it is more or less the same as what do you call it? It's more or less the same as like a SQL DB. So we need a bolt.open. Now for file path, we're going to pass that in. Mode is going to be now it showed it as being usable on 6.6, which is interesting. And kind of sort of makes sense. It's kind of like a what is it, a read execute? Or read write? No, it's read write, no execute, I think. So read write, no execute with no option. And this returns a DB. So DB error equals bolt.open. If error does not equal to nil, then we panic. More or less we panic. Hey, Salty Moth. Thanks so much for stopping by. Welcome back to the lab. How you doing, mate? I know it has been a while. It's been a very, very busy couple of... Well, how long's it been? I don't remember. Oh boy. I got water and flavored water. But yes, it has been a hot minute. How you doing, mate? Let's see here. How was I handling this part? I think I was just doing a log.fatalf. Logger.fatal. Failed to initiate bolt cache. That do something like that. And then otherwise, we're going to return an instance of bolt cache, and db is going to be db. Something like that. Compatible dbolt.db. Oh, right. Burp. Now I may not have to have I may not have to have an instance on this, since the internal bit is a reference. We'll leave it. We'll leave it as a new creates a bolt backed cache at the given. Oh, I love that. I love that emote. It's so good. Been studying for final exams. Oof. I feel that to my core. Oh, I feel that to my core. I'm doing good, mate. Thank you. Had a bit of a moment. I think it was last weekend where I was like, you know what? I really want to stream, but like I'm so not ready for that new project. There are so many more things that I was just not prepared to deal with. I was like, just go back to the bot. Let's go back to my happy place. And I got some random ideas for like, hey, I wonder if the bot would support like, posting to Discord, and what about BoltDB? I never really poked into BoltDB, and then here we are. Learning at university is so great until exams. Right. I mean, I get that you have to test whether or not there is competency and retention and all that fun. I guess. I struggle with that because it's like, what's the value prop? What's the value proposition? I struggle with that a little bit. Anyway. Not gonna fall down that rabbit hole too fast. Bolt cache is a bolt backed cache. Maybe I should call this a BoltDB backed cache. Yeah, there we go. And now we more or less just go straight into utilizing. So b dot, and now we start looking for things. Now this is where I more or less need to get very comfortable and familiar with Bolt's querying, which looks a little something like. So we do have a defer that we need to put somewhere. We have a close that we need to put somewhere. Don't I have a close? I don't. Interesting. Why does my cache not have a close method? Ooh, that's bad. Anyway. Hey, man. Final exams are final exams. Doesn't matter what level you're at. They're just as annoying. Oof. Let's see here. Transactions. Bolt allows only one read-write transaction at a time, but allows many read-only transactions. That's a really cool feature. Just saying. And each transaction has a consistent view of the data as it existed when the transaction started. Let's see here. Transactions should not depend on one another. Truth. db.update. So we got a db.update and we've got a db.view. So you've got two different types of transactions that have these anonymous functions internally. which is, I'm going to assume, how you actually interact with the data. Let's see here. Each DB update waits for disk commits. Each db.update waits for disk to commit the writes. The overhead can be minimized by combining multiple updates within a db.batch function. Interesting. No worries, Field. Thanks so much for the alert. Appreciate you, mate. Concurrent batch calls are opportunistic. Okay. About formal languages and computability. That hurts my brain just saying. But cheers, mate. Okay. See here. Now the question is, do I have to create a bucket? Sounds like the answer is yes. Interesting. You like theoretical comp sci, but your mind is just not good enough for it? Me too. Me too. I spent a lot of time going back and forth on like, okay, but what is this for? What is it used for? And my brain just would refuse if it didn't have an application for what it was that I was looking at. It just rejected it, I guess. Okay. So we are gonna need a bucket. So we're gonna need a bucket. You have an ID. Okay. Well, I say we're gonna need an ID, but I don't really know that we are. Because the way that we operate off of this is by straight key. So the key is really what we're using there. The a unique ID wouldn't necessarily be, well, necessary in that case. Application, let's see here. The application is what would be possible if we had unlimited power, right? Gotcha. Okay. I mean, that is kind of cool, all things considered. Thinking about like the actual applicability. If we had unlimited compute power, what would we be able to do? Mine Bitcoin in seconds. Memes. Let's see here. So I think what we will want to do is we will want to create a bucket. So bucket is going to be a string. Excuse me. And then bucket is going to be bucket name. We are going to write bucket name is going to be what? What do we want to call this? I guess in this particular case, we would be changing the, we would actually be introducing the idea of a bucket. It's as if Bolt had to solve this problem already. What I'm pausing at is right now, as we're creating these caches, we're just creating them with a file path and a key expiration. We don't really name them so much, or at least not explicitly. We do kind of sort of name them because we've got we've got the greeter cache, we've got the metrics cache. Like we have these caches, they exist, and they are named in the code, but the code itself doesn't name them. So I think that might be something that we press on. I mean, hell, maybe we just name them now. So this would be metrics. And actually, you know what? I think what we can do is we can drop this. We can just call it metrics.txt and then must create This will be greeter. And now this, instead of file path, will be, screw it, we'll call it bucket. Bucket name. So bucket name is a string, key expiration seconds is a string. Now the file path is going to be the bolt DB. So bolt file is, we'll just call this bot.db. Okay. So this is going to be bolt file. And we actually don't need to do this anymore. So this is going to be cache error equals cache dot, or are we going to do, is that a bolt cache? Let's make that a little more explicit, since we have so many caches. I don't know why I said cache so strange. That caches. New bolt cache. Back. Oh, that's gonna mess with me. My key bindings aren't the same. Bolt cache. And this is going to be bolt file. Really, in that case, we don't need a variable. We can just say bolt.db. So cache error, if error is not equal to nil. Basically panic, log.fatal, error, create hash file, which means that we are going to move that error out. Now this is either going to be bolt cache or an error. Then turn errors.wrap, I think is what I want to do. Wrap F, error. Bring this up here. Turn nil, errors.wrap F. Come. So this needs to be new bolt cache. Now that we renamed the method, and voila. Turn. All right, so a little bit of playing around with the Go boilerplate, but alas. So now Bolt takes charge of how this is created. Now previously, what I did have in Persistable is I had a new in memory and new file persisted. What I could do oh man, this is gonna feel strange, but I can remove file persisted. And I can more or less remove all of the details about persistent and turn this into, instead of a persistable cache, or we can keep persistable cache. So I just paused there because what more or less what we have right now is hold on, let me check something real quick. Yeah, okay. I really need to get that in this this scene. I need to get that that widget in this scene. I know y'all can't see what I'm looking at. It's I'm looking at the OBS screen, but interesting. Maybe it doesn't make sense to have bolt cache here. Maybe we can just reuse persistent cache. I'll think about that one. So what gave me pause was that what we're effectively doing is we're replacing file persisted with bolt. So it kind of made me go, okay, well, maybe we just shim in bolt usage, where previously we have all of this kind of like manual work, but I don't think that bolt works that way. So I don't think that I can do that. So it made me pause for a second to go, well, does this need to be its own thing or not? I think the answer is yes. So what I'm gonna do here is get b.db view, and this is going to be a func with a bolt transaction. Now p dot that's a lot of things. So t dot bucket, b dot bucket, byte b dot bucket. Aha, there it is. Dot get and dot put. Okay. So that's not bad. Get e. Oh, this is oh man, this is gonna mess with me. This is a byte array. E? Or was it a byte array? E is a byte. Yes. There we go. Okay, so now do any of these error? They do not. Okay. So for this, see here. Send me here. Okay. DW error, yeah. Not what I'm looking for. Now, do they expect me? Well, so this is what I'm curious about. How do I return it? db.update. Yes, you could do a global, but do you really have to do a global? That's painful. Int function does not return an error because the operation is guaranteed to work unless there's some kind of failure. If the key exists, we'll return a byte slice. If it's not, then it'll return nil. Okay. And you must use copy to copy it to another byte slice. Ooh, that's interesting. Okay. So one of the gotchas, it seems. So what we're gonna need to know, what we're gonna need to do, damn it, Vim, is we're gonna need to have effectively a result. Result is a byte slice. And then we're going to have to do a copy of value to result. Interesting. So more or less what this means, what I was expecting to do, and I don't know why I was expecting to do it, was from this db.view function, I was expecting to be able to fetch the value and just return it. Like maybe formulate it into a not byte slice, and then return it appropriately. But that's not how anonymous functions work with transactions. So effectively, I'm creating a barrier. I'm creating a block here. Within this transaction, I can't just copy I can't just return the data from the transaction, because that data just disappears after the transaction is done. It's only valid within this transaction. So what I effectively have to do is I have to do this. I fetch the value, and then I have to copy those results, the resulting bytes. I have to copy that out to a variable here. Then down here, I can use the value of those bytes, which is not great, but at the same time, I kind of sort of understand why they're doing that. In order to enforce that consistency of data within transactions, and to ensure that there's only one read-write transaction, you do kind of have to jump through these hoops, but that didn't click into my head until, well, just now. And this is why we create abstractions. This is why we create boundaries. Just a second. Yeah, that should work. Boop. There we go. All right. All right. Now, what's interesting about this, though, is that we can optimize a little bit around some of these other operations, is what I'm looking at. Append is going to be interesting. Absent is more or less going to be dependent on how we do get. So value error equal to dot get key turn error not equal to nil. See here. If the value exists, then error would return with an error. If it was present, it wouldn't return an error. So we are checking for. Oh man, I did this already in Persistable. Absent. How did I implement it here? Of course. Damn it. I was hoping I could cheat, but no. Okay. I'll have to come back to that. I'll have to test that. So what the way that I'm using absent is more or less that I'm checking if the get function returns the actual value, and that depends on how I want to implement get. So forget about it. So if result equals nil, this is more or less our error case of it wasn't found. So I think here we return an empty string and errors dot errorf e not found. Otherwise, we return string of result and so in effect, if it's not found, return an error. Otherwise, we return that the value as a string, because we did kind of standardize on the values going into this thing would be strings. The joy. Which means that this, we don't really care about the value, or error equals b.get. So if it is absent, the error will not be nil. So we do want to check for if error does not equal to nil. If error does not equal to nil, that becomes true. That means that the value is absent. If it's false, if it's nil, that means it's false. Yeah. Had to think about that. Excuse me. Oh, bear with me just a sec. Got a little bit of cinnamon stuck in my throat. Blech. How to make protein powder taste better. Cinnamon. Oh, hello, Toby. Wanna come up and say hi? He's just staring at me. Come on. Come up and say hi. Oh, wait. Oh, don't yawn at me. Yawn. Wah. Ta-da. I bring a Toby. Fix the camera a little bit. Say hi. Toby has come to supervise. Yeah. You just gonna stand there? You good? Yeah, there you go. This is like his favorite thing to do. He sits in my lap. He thinks about it for a long period of time, and then eventually he just kind of like sits down and nuzzles his face into my arm. You're so cute. So cute, buddy cat. Yeah, he is the supervisor. In case you recognize the shirt. Oh. Thank you, buddy. All right. So, checks if the given key does not exist. Cache. Get fetches value given key earns an error if not found. So get's kind of the extreme case. It's like a this must happen. Alternatively, we'll also have a getter default. I think should more or less be fine. Get or default fetches the value for the given key or sets. Now getter default, I need to find uses of getter default. Interesting. Getter default may be a little unnecessary, we'll say. So what I'm thinking is that there are some errors that can manifest from Bolt, and I'm trying to think of how I wanted to, like, for example, file read errors can manifest. So the error here is not just a not found error. There are instances of like what I'll call a more of a system type error. So it would probably behoove me to make a type that is basically like a not found error, which I'm kind of tempted to do. So it'd be something like we have a type not found error struct, and then fund, yes. E is a not found error. Error returns a string. This would return something. The effect being that this being an error type, we can then return not found error. Now, I do want this to be a little bit, well, nicer. So, not found error. E is a string. So we can do something like this. We can return E to a e.s_printf. E and s not found. E.key. It's a little bit of boilerplate, admittedly. Not found error. For anybody that's been watching the stream for a little while, you know what I just got excited about. this bloody thing didn't screw up. Oh man, not found. Yay. Okay, sorry. Brief aside. On my Mac, I was not able to in Vim autocomplete like this. Like if I had half typed out what I wanted, I couldn't go, oh yes, autocomplete here, because for some reason, autocomplete in COC on Mac would they'd take what I typed, move the cursor over one, and then paste into the word. So I'd end up with it would be like NO not found error, T found error. It would look really freaking strange. The fact that that works on Linux, not found error represents when a key is not found in the cache. There we go. So with this, then we can say not found error key. Loading personality. Thank you so much for stopping by. Welcome to the lab. How you doing, mate? Oh, sorry, my brain was so excited about being able to autocomplete that I forgot how to English. The autocomplete in my brain failed me. So now, what I'm more or less thinking here is that instead of a getter default, we could have a is instance of, so you can do like an errors.is, I think it is. Error dot, or which error do I have? Package error. Anyway, there's a way to type check errors that may or may not render getter default unnecessary, but we'll get to that. In fact, here I think this needs to do it. Error is not equal to nil, and error dot found error. Is that the format? Golang error type check. Yeah, there we go. So it's more or less this is more or less a type check, a type cast. You can also do this in switches, which is kind of cool. Alternatively, the errors package does expose an is method, which I would be able to use if I hadn't have imported errors, package errors. So there's errors, and then there's GitHub package errors. I could technically namespace it, and then I could do this. Convert error to do that. Excuse me. There we go. So yeah, there are two errors packages, which excuse me. I really wish that package errors would just be merged into standard lib errors. Package errors has a couple of helpers that are really nice. That's where things like errors.wrapf comes from. And actually, errors dot as is new wrap unwrap. Like, I wish that they had that. I wish that they just merged that functionality into the standard library. Then you wouldn't have to import multiple libs for that, but alas. So absent is kind of like it's a two-step process. It's not just is the value absent, it's also is the error a not found error, which is important. So that's all good. And I am gonna have to make this a very short stream today, just because of what's going on. But absent getter default would more or less be a value error equals, or actually we could just do an if b.absent key, and we just return default value nil. Otherwise, now technically this is a double scan, so this is kind of where I'm hesitating to use it. From like a logic standpoint, you could just say, okay, well then you just do return b.get key. The thing that I don't particularly like here is that this is a double scan. It's actually using get twice under the hood. So what I think we should do instead is this should just be a value error equals b.get key. And then I think we honestly just copy this. It's almost like I can turn this into a function, like if not found. But I did want to avoid that double get call. Even though the get calls are super fast, that's opening a transaction each time, and I didn't really want to do that. So this, in this case, it would be value. Well, technically it'd be value error, just in case if there's a system error that occurred. So basically this is just a little micro optimization of, instead of calling get twice and therefore opening up two different transactions, we get the value, we check the value. If it's a not found value, then we just return default. Otherwise, we return the value in error. Micro optimization, but little things that I like instinctually think about these days. Not quite premature optimization. It's more like not being wasteful, which is a very, very gray line. Very gray line. All right. Now, actually, I'm not really gonna have time to do this, unfortunately. Where I think I'm gonna go next, and apologies for the super short stream. It's just one of those days. But where I'm gonna have to go for here is that there are, with put and with append. Put and append are basically two. Put is the simple operation, and then append is just a helper operation. On persistable, it's more or less a double check of, okay, getter default. If the entry is empty, then just put the value. Otherwise, it's a convenience method over the ability to have multiple values go into one key. The lack of a list type function. Now, I don't think that Bolt has list capabilities. I'm kind of curious. Doesn't look like it. So another problem that we will have to solve as a part of this is that same, like, being able to store multiple values within the same thing, which maybe we do that with buckets. Maybe instead of having one key and just an appended set of values, maybe we just have a bucket. And then inside of that bucket, we just put keys for each of the different values that we want. Different values that anyway, that's getting confusing. But yeah. Oh, let me. Oh, of course I'm gonna have to figure out what to do about the album art up at the top right there. That doesn't look like something that I would really want to keep, so I'll have to mess with that a little bit. But that's gonna do it for today. Again, apologies for the short stream, but we are gonna come back next weekend to continue the bot. Toby, you look so cozy, buddy. Are you cozy? Oh my goodness. Cozy little boy. But that's going to do it for now. Thank you all so much for stopping by. It was great to see you all. Stay curious, and we'll see you in the next one. Take care, everybody.